What's up, everyone? I'm back playing Vintage Cube after just completing the Forcing Storm challenge. I was playing Storm for like 10 or 12 drafts in a row. Really happy to have finished that, and yeah, now we can just draft normally. So this pack is pretty good, but let's just take the mocks. And I guess I'm just going to not play Storm. I've done so much Storm playing, but this is actually a really good start for Storm. With Lion's Eye Diamond here, that might actually even be the best card to take. I feel like I've definitely gotten way better at drafting the Storm archetypes, figured out a few new combos to implement, and yeah, I think I have the pick orders a little bit better, so it was actually beneficial to do that. Even though at times I would say it was frustrating, but okay, so maybe I'll just go back on everything I just said and I'll take the Lion's Eye Diamond. I am hoping to not play Storm, but this pack is actually kind of bad. And yeah, definitely let me know what you thought of the Storm videos if you watched any of them. I was hoping it wouldn't take quite as many tries to finally win a trophy, but yeah, so I don't know, it may have been dragging on a little bit long, but yeah, let me know in the comments what you thought of all of that. I think I might just take Exhume. This might be the card with the most upside. I'm going to try to stay open during this draft. And usually I think my default is to kind of take like lands or fair cards first, or stuff that goes in a lot of different decks, like maybe cheap removal or card draw, like maybe Sylvan Library from last pack. But after playing all those combo decks and kind of seeing the power of the very best combos in this cube, it makes me want to do a little bit more speculating on stuff like LED or Exhume, which these are really spiky power level cards. And now I'll take the Grave Titan, kind of a close one. There's actually two really good green cards, Natural Order and Nissa. I think those are actually two of the best green cards for the ramp deck, but I'm like very low on mono green. I think it's just consistently gotten worse as the cube has gone on. It's specifically like the inclusion of the card Fury in the cube. It just destroys the mono green deck. It just makes having Llanowar Elves and Riffelos in your deck just such a liability. Cards that are already super fragile that can just get 2-for-1 for 0 mana with Fury. It's kind of insane. But anyways, yeah, black is looking open, and I'm going to take Thoughtseize. This card is amazing. I like Stoneforge as well. I don't love going into Reanimator if I don't have Entomb. I just feel like the deck is not that great. You don't have Entomb, so that's always risky, but we can also just have like a fair black deck with some disruption that can be good. Here's Cabal Ritual. It's also possible I could still end up in Storm. So I think I'll just take the Cabal Ritual. Faithless Looting would be okay too, and that would even be okay in... I'm going to take the Faithless Looting, because I actually like Black-Red a lot, and this card is good in Reanimator too, and I have Mox Ruby. But green is looking open. Blue is not looking very open. I think Muldrifter and Emery are pretty late picks. Here's the Batterskull that goes with the Stoneforge that we already passed. Grist, this would be fine in Reanimator. So yeah, I'll take Grist. It mills cards into your graveyard. It's just a very good Planeswalker as well. I've started to like this sort of Feast and Famine quite a bit in this cube. And I've found that it combos well with Winter Orb. Kind of a great combo where you can untap all of your lands. And there just tends to be a lot of green creature decks, and this sword is really good against them. But with this pack, I'm just going to take the removal spell, and I like Bloodchief's Thirst more. I don't like to lose life with my removal spells. So yeah, I don't love Infernal Grasp. I prefer to lose life with cards like Thoughtseize or Dark Confidant or Night's Whisper. Those cards are less replaceable than just a simple removal spell, even though Infernal Grasp, it's good in certain matchups, of course, but yeah, I don't love that card. Reanimator is definitely open. Here's the Prowler. What do I want to take here, though? I guess I'll take the Prowler. And yeah, black is definitely open. I think Grief was maybe the only black card from this pack. And then here's the new black legendary land. Kind of a cool card, but I actually like Grief quite a bit. And all the black cards are wheeling. I've played against some decks with Lurrus plus Black Lotus, and those decks are kind of insane. But in general, I don't like Lurrus in the cube that much. Vraska's okay. I'm going to take the Bitter Blossom, though. Satoru, maybe we can play that. Blue is not very open. And we're not wheeling the Storm card, so yeah, it looks like we're not going to go into Storm. But I'm happy that we went into black early. Let's take the Lion's Eye Diamond out. And then yeah, I took this Bitter Blossom because I really like Braids. I think that's one of the best things you can do in black. Braids is so good against control decks, against combo decks. And then it's just good in every matchup. It's like average against aggressive decks because like you play it, it passes to their turn, they sacrifice something, and then usually you just block with the Braids. But like it's pretty okay in that situation. But then against control decks, it's just like it can win the game completely when it comes down. I'm not exactly sure where we want to go. We have some reanimation cards, Exhume and Faithless Looting, and like Una's Prowler. This is like filler level. I don't see that as a reason to go into Reanimator. But we opened Archon of Cruelty. This is the best creature to reanimate. It's just good in like every situation. It's very flexible. In general, I think it's better than Griselbrand. So I'll just speculate on that. And even sometimes you can cast this for 8 mana, and it's insane. This is a pretty awkward spot to get past the Jace, just because we really did not see blue in the first pack. And as you can see, black tends to be very heavy on the colored mana symbols. So it's hard to play Jace in a heavy black deck. It's really nice to play heavy blue and then splash stuff like Thoughtseize and Bloodchief's Thirst, but there's not going to be enough blue cards. We're not going to be able to do that. So Jace is a great card, but our deck is really not looking set up to use it. It's not looking set up to cast it, I will say. So I'm actually just going to pass the Jace. I'll take the Underground Sea. Now we get past 2 blue fetch lands. And Toxic Deluge, which is a card I like. Fable of the Mirror Breaker. This is another cool red-black Reanimator card. I wonder if this Fable of the Mirror Breaker would wheel. I'm not sure if I can count on that. I'm just going to take it. I haven't gotten a chance to play red-black Reanimator that much, but I think it's kind of a cool archetype. And those lands, I don't have very much reason to play blue right now. I could actually just play this Satoru Umezawa, and then I can ninjutsu in Archon of Cruelty. There's definitely some good cards here. Renin 6 is an amazing card. Might be a little tough to go Jund, even though... I mean, I have Grist, and I have these 2 nice red cards, and both of my red cards actually go well with Renin 6, because I can discard lands and then return them. I also would like just to have Chain Lightning or maybe Smuggler's Copter, but I really like Renin 6. Let's see if maybe I can just go Jund. Okay, and now here's Wooded Foothills. I do really like Ophiomancer, but it's kind of replaceable, and maybe we'll wheel it. I like Massacre Worm a lot. It's great against like mono white, mono green. It's just good against the creature decks. And then there's some more good Braids cards. Hangerback Walker. Smokestack is kind of similar to Braids. But I really like Liliana, the Last Hope. It's similar to Massacre Worm. It's great against the creature decks, but it's also a really fast threat against the control decks. Jund seems like a good place to be. There's a lot of Jund cards here. Maybe Kroxa is the best one for us. It's good with Faithless Looting and Fable of the Mirrorbreaker. Okay, this Triome helps us a little bit. It's a Swamp Forest. And then Shallow Grave, we want to get the sort of reanimation spells that keep the creature in play. Shallow Grave plus Archon, that's pretty good, but I think our deck is moving a little bit away from Reanimator. We haven't gotten the really tier 1 reanimation cards yet. I'll take Pest Infestation. I could see that being good in a certain matchup. Now I'll just take more lands and try to fill out the mana base so that we can play these Jund cards. Yeah, same thing here. I can't play any of these spells. And again, we're seeing like no blue cards, even from this direction. So yeah, I'm glad I did not take the Jace. This deck may have turned out better if we just went like one dedicated direction, like red-black, and kind of steered clear of the green. Okay, and we did table the Ophiomancer. And the Smokestack and the Massacre Worm. Wow, this is kind of interesting. I think Massacre Worm is like a little bit better, but Smokestack lets you kind of attack different sorts of decks. And our deck is already kind of good at removing creatures. That was kind of a tough pick. Maybe I should have taken the Smokestack. I would still like to see Braids. So there's some good cards here. I like Dothy Voidwalker with Thoughtseize. That's a nice combo. And then Liliana, of course, is great. It's possible that both of them would wheel. I mean Massacre Worm wheeled. It's really hard to cast this card, and the same is true of Voidwalker. You really need to be heavy black, so I'm going to try to table that. Umezawa's Jite would be really good too. That actually might just be the better card. Yeah, I think this is pretty common for these Planeswalkers deck. You really get a ton of 3-drops. So yeah, I think Jite is like a clear pick here. And I like this card a lot in black because just having incidental life gain is really important. So now there's 2 good discard spells, Hymn and Mind Twist. I think Mind Twist is a little bit better. And then the Hymn is also more likely to wheel because it's harder to cast. Here's Bayou, that's a pretty good land. And then Duress, I actually think we're going to not need the Duress. I already have 2 discard spells. And then Hymn to Turok might wheel. So I don't want to overdo the discard thing. And then Ob Nixilis, this is one of the weaker Planeswalkers, I think. I like 3 mana Duretti a lot more. I like Grist a lot more. So Karn is like pretty good in general, but you really want to have other artifacts to go with it to like power up the constructs. That's where Karn gets a lot of its power from. And this is just not the deck for that. We have 1 Mox and a Jite. So I want to take Night's Whisper or Animate Dead. And yeah, I think I'm happy to take Animate Dead. We have enough incidental discard where I think we can steal some games with the Animate Dead. And then even when we don't like steal the games, it's just like a totally fine card. Not like amazing, but it's always like fine. And I'm hoping to table that Liliana of the Veil. That'll be another discard outlet. Okay, now we get the Braids. And it's not really competing with anything. So I'll take Braids. We don't have an amazing Braids deck, but we have Bitter Blossom and Ophiomancer. Renin 6 is kind of good with Braids too. Bone Shards, I like this card too. Yeah, it's great in the Braids deck too, because it has the same combos where I can sacrifice a creature like the Snake from Ophiomancer, and it's free. And the fact that Bone Shards kills Planeswalkers for 1 mana is kind of, well, it's really powerful. So I'm happy to take that over the Triumph. Now, yeah, I don't want to overdo the reanimation thing either. We already have Exhume and Animate Dead. And Necromancy is worse than both of those in general. I don't love Shriekmaw. It just doesn't kill enough creatures, and it's not really efficient. It's sorcery speed. I'm just never happy to have this card. It's just very average. But this is a really good Nurturing Peatland deck. It's going to help me get green mana, and it combos with Renin 6. So I'm just pretty happy to have that card. Yeah, not really. This isn't really a Signet deck. You can see the curve is really heavy on 2 and 3. Signets are a lot better when your curve stacks up around 4 and like 5. So, but this is a good Fatal Push deck, and I like Fatal Push in general. Vastbond Wield, one of my favorite cards, but yeah, this is not the deck for it. And it looks like someone took Liliana of the Veil. Is there something else I wanted from this pack? I can't remember, besides the Dauthi Voidwalker, but yeah, we'll take the Voidwalker. And yeah, here's the Hymn to Turok pack. Bolas's Citadel as well, but yeah, we really, I don't think we need that. We have a good top end already. Now Hymn is the 3rd discard spell to go with the Voidwalker, so this is just a really good Voidwalker deck. And then I could see all these cards being useful. Actually, yeah, even the Thragtusk, kind of like all these cards could be good. I think the Thragtusk is the one I like the most, just because it's an all-star against mono red. Recurring Nightmare. This is actually a pretty good Recurring Nightmare deck. I'll just take that. But usually I will sideboard that card. It's kind of slow and it's matchup dependent. So the Thragtusk, that was a sideboard pick. Satoru Umezawa, we're not playing that either. That would be on the splash, and that's just not going to happen. We're actually kind of low on creatures here. But we've got Grist, Fable of the Mirror Breaker, those make creatures. Bitter Blossom, so yeah, we have a decent amount of creatures. We ended up not getting the Exhume. Sorry, the Entomb, rather. When you have a good black deck, your curve is so low. It's one of the lowest curve decks in the format, just because all of the single black mana cards are so good. But let's see, what do I have to discard? I think it makes sense to take out Una's Prowler. Because discarding, it's just not a big... not that important for this deck. And I already have Faithless Looting, Bone Shards, Thoughtseize, Grist to Mill. Fable of the Mirror Breaker. I think I want to just take out the Unis Prowler. Then maybe I can take out a removal spell. I don't want to cut any more of my creatures. I think these are all really good. So I need to cut one of my spells. Yeah, I think it needs to be one of my interaction cards. I have a lot of interaction. 3 discard spells, 3 removal spells, plus Jite is removal, Massacre Worm, Arcana removal. Grief is also a discard spell. I think I want to take out the Blood Chief's Thirst. I think it's the worst of all of these 6 cards on the right. So we can bring it in against the aggro decks. That's where it really shines. But I think we're good against aggro already. We have stuff like Ophiomancer, Bitter Blossom. I think this makes sense. I really like the discard spells in a lot of the matchups. And the fact that we have incidental discard so we can get rid of them in the late game, that's really good. Okay, the mana base looks okay. I put in 2 mountains, which might be a little bit much, but I do want to be able to escape Kroxa. We'll see how the mana base fares. Here we are for the first round on the play. We'll keep. Turn 1 Thoughtseize, hard to turn that down. I also like having Thoughtseize because it kind of tells you if you need to evoke your grief or not. It just gives you that information. So let's see. I guess we're playing against a Splinter Twin deck. Shield Breaker is not going to be good against our deck. So I'll just take the Splinter Twin. Is that right? No, I'll take the Bone Crusher Giant. And then later I'll use Grief to take the Splinter Twin. I don't need to take that card now. I have a lot of time to wait. And now I can animate dead Bone Crusher Giant. It'll be a 3/3. That seems fine. Okay, so I'm just going to use Fable of the Mirror Breaker. I want to hit my 4th land drop and make sure I can disrupt my opponent with Grief on the next turn so that I don't get comboed out. It's pretty unlikely that I get comboed out. They've drawn Signet and Dragon's Rage Channeler. So what do I want to discard? Liliana seems pretty good on this board. Let's just get rid of Renin 6 and Ophiomancer. And I still don't need to take the Splinter Twin. I can wait until next turn. And my opponent is pretty far away from getting Delirium on the Dragon's Rage Channeler. Yeah, they're going to attack, because otherwise their creature will just die. And now I'll use the Grief and make sure I'm not going to die. Okay, they just have 2 lands. So yeah, that was kind of like the perfect Thoughtseize disruption hand. So this matchup, the instant speed removal is pretty important. Fatal Push. We don't have a ton of instant speed removal, but the discard is going to be really good. this hand is missing the discard, but it has Wooded Foothills, Wrenn and 6, and that's going to be really good. Yeah, I played the wrong land here. I should have fetched Bayou. Yeah, that was a mistake. Now I can't play turn 2 Wrenn and 6. Although, maybe it's fine. Now I can him to Turok, so that's okay. Bayou. Then next turn I'll play Wrenn and 6. Okay, we got their 2 top end cards. They don't have a land, okay. Alright, well, we were just up against a pretty bad draw there, but we'll take the win. Here we are for the second round. We're on the play again. And this hand looks great. We have turn 1 Thoughtseize, and then we have the Bitter Blossom Braids combo. It's also just nice to play fast matches. Every match with Storm is like a grind. Like, there's no easy wins with that deck. You have to play like 30 spells every match to win. Okay, so I'm definitely just going to take the Augur. I'll leave them with their slow cards. And if I can get Braids online before they can get Acceleration online, they're just never going to be able to hit 5 mana, and the game's going to be over. So I don't need to maximize Mind Twist, it's just not that important. I'll just cast it for 2 here, and yeah, now the game's basically over. This isn't usually the matchup where Braids shines, because usually the green deck has a lot of permanents. Okay, yeah, they just scooped. I mean, there are maybe a couple ways I could have lost that game, maybe to like channel or something, but yeah, that shows you the power of Braids. So this is the matchup where you want Bloodchief's Thirst, especially on the draw. This card is really good. Let's bring that in. And then I'll just take out Kroxa. This is not like the Kroxa matchup. Kroxa is more for like grindy control matchups. Okay, this hand seems fine. It's not as good as the last one, but Jite is definitely really good in the matchup. I'm gonna Faithless Looting. That means we can't use him until the 3rd turn. But yeah, I really needed to find a removal for this Hex Drinker. Although, I guess I'm not going to be able to use this removal on it. Okay, that's a bit of a problem. I think Thoughtseize might be too slow here, so I'll discard that. And we're really far from Grave Titan, so I'll discard that too. Hex Drinker gets protection from instants? Yeah, I can't Fatal Push it, so it has protection from instants. Okay. And then next turn they can give protection from everything. Wow. I don't think I have a way to race it even. Jite can gain me 4 life a turn. I think that's maybe just slightly too slow. I still die in 2 turns here. Yeah, this game really goes to show how fast this format is. And how aggressively you need to mulligan. I was thinking of mulliganing this hand just because, I mean, it had no turn 1 play that interacted with the board. It just had Faithless Looting. But yeah, I decided that I would keep. But yeah, this format can be very unforgiving. So yeah, especially on the draw, mulliganing aggressively to certain cards, pretty important. I have the Bone Shards as removal. Don't have red mana. I can reanimate Massacre Worm if I draw a reanimation spell. Then Jite is really good, but I need to draw a creature. I think this is actually playable, but it's maybe a little sketchy. Okay, my opponent went to 6. Fatal Push is a good draw. And now it's looking like I don't want to discard the Massacre Worm. It's looking like I might be able to actually cast it. Okay, I'm just going to keep being patient here. They can play a Planeswalker here. I'm going to have to use Bone Shards on it. Okay, so that's the risk of playing the Jite out early. I didn't need to do that, but now I can use the Fatal Push on the Nissa, but let's see. Guess I'll do it just in case they have like Craterhoof Behemoth. I don't think the Fatal Push is getting that much better later in the game, but my plan is to wipe their small creatures with the Massacre Worm. Yeah, if I can make sure that I don't die to Craterhoof, that would be nice, because they do have mana for it. Okay, Primeval Titan is good, but they're going to need a bit more action. I don't understand why they're attacking me and not Grist. Okay, yeah, I've done this in the wrong order. I should have played the Massacre Worm first. Then they would have lost 2 life. From that Primeval Titan. So if they have maybe something like Avenger of Zendikar or like maybe Ugin would be really good. They need something pretty big. Maybe like Memory Jar would be good. Oh wow, Hornet Queen. Wow. So that's really good, but if I can find a reanimation spell for my Massacre Worm, then I should be okay. Grave Titan is also pretty nice. Okay, Nissa, so that is going to give me something to use Bone Shards on. 'Cause, I have a lot of good draws. Red mana is good. Reanimation spell is good. I'm even close to casting Archon of Cruelty. Eternal Witness on Primeval Titan. Okay, that is really good. Okay, we found the Animate Dead. That's exactly what we were looking for. Now I can Bone Shards sacking the Massacre Worm. Wonder if I can have lethal here. Let's just try it. So Bone Shards sacking Massacre Worm, destroy the Primeval Titan. I'll leave them with one blocker. I think this is lethal. Yeah, this is really showing the power of Massacre Worm. Just it's a win condition and a board sweeper all in one, and I mean it's a 6/5. Really strong card. So my opponent's going to take 12 here, and they're going to go to 6. Then I'll attack with everything. They'll block Grave Titan, they'll take 5, and then they'll take 2 from the Massacre Worm trigger. Alright, let's go to the last round. Okay, we are 2-0 with this cool mono black Splashing Jund deck. We're on the draw. Yeah, this is kind of a scary hand to keep on the draw. Just gonna mulligan. This hand is not much better, but it's a really good Wrenn and 6 hand. And it even has the Peat land to start drawing us into action. I could have mulliganed this hand as well, but Wrenn and 6 is really good against certain matchups. But yeah, it looks like we're playing against mono red. And it looks like they missed their third land drop, but now they have made their third land drop. Seething Song. Oh, wow. Yeah, Dragon would be really good here. Don't currently have a way to stop it. Okay, it's Laelia. Okay, so discard Mox and Wooded Foothills. Because I don't want to play a Mox into the Eidolon. They have removal. We're just going to be dead here. I really need to block this Laelia with the snake. Okay, this is a start. Post-combat Koth, okay. Oh, and they have another thing to play. Porcelain Legionnaire. Well, that's a good one for us. But this hymn is a dead card. I'll definitely play out the Liliana. 8. Okay, I'm not going to sacrifice the Peatland. I'd like to maybe play a 6-drop if I draw it. That's fine. I don't need the Liliana. I'll let that die. Okay, and I did draw the Massacre Worm, but I think Grief is going to be the better play here. Okay, they just have a mountain in hand. This feels like a pretty safe position. Okay, yeah, I wasn't expecting that. That was a nice play from my opponent. So I think I can win, but I have to pass to next turn. I think I just don't attack here, actually. I'll keep attacking my opponent's hand. They had Chrome Mox. Yeah, I'll just pass. I don't think there's a card they can have. Well, there's a burn spell that does 6 damage. Okay, nice. That was a close one. Nurturing Peatland. I think this has to come out of the deck. Let's add a swamp. Really don't want to take damage against the mono red deck. Then Blood Chief's Thirst will bring that in. Sedgemoor Witch, this is a decent card. I think Kroxa can come out. It's just very slow. And then maybe I could take out, I have Bitter Blossom and Night's Whisper, both of which damage me. Thoughtseize as well. I would like to bring in Sedgemoor Witch. Then take out one of these cards that deals damage to me. Okay, maybe the Night's Whisper. Oh, right, and we have Thragtusk. Okay, yes, this is exactly why I have Thragtusk in my deck. In my sideboard, I mean. I'll bring in Thragtusk and take out Thoughtseize. Yeah, just take out Thoughtseize. Yeah, this hand is great. Trying to think about what I want to do with my lands here. I don't think I need to keep Fatal Push up. I'm playing the Ruby because of the Eidolon of Great Revel. Okay, Jite's pretty good. I don't think I have a way to destroy that in my deck. Could definitely be a problem. Wow, my opponent has a slow start. If I play Braids, it's probably just going to eat a burn spell, I imagine. I have something like Koth next turn. This has got to be a good time to Mind Twist. This could backfire if they have Hazoret. Okay, no, we discarded the Hazoret. Okay, cool. Lalia is pretty good. Don't have anything to stop that at the moment. Yeah, I'll just block the Goblin Guide. Then I'll destroy the Lalia with Fatal Push. Wow, they conceded to that? They must have had a land in hand. I really had no action left. That's really surprising. Okay, well, that was a really fun draft, and this is one of my favorite archetypes, actually. I just think black is somewhat undervalued in Cube, and the discard spells are so good against almost every archetype. And yeah, a lot of times you can get really late value cards like Grist and Wrenn and 6, and stuff like this really gives the blue decks trouble. Really, the Jund style decks have gotten so much better in the last few Cube iterations as far as like card advantage going into the late game goes, so you can actually compete with the card draw from blue decks. And yeah, so this draft worked out really well. Thanks for watching, and see you guys next time.